You are tuned into listener-powered KEXP 90.3 FM in Seattle, 92.7 in the Bay Area, and streaming worldwide on kexp.org and those KEXP mobile apps. We are listener-powered, and we thank all of our listeners whose support and donations keep these programs going, especially things like these live in studios. I'm DJ Jewel, I host Astral Plane, and I'm so excited to be here with Elephant Stone. Hi guys, thanks for being here. All right, let it rip.
Devil-like eyes chasing smiles, awaken from a dark and golden dream world, casting shadows far and wide, stirring petals of the newborn flowers. No one moves, no one sticks. While the gods crying wind,
We are live on KEXP with Elephant Stone here in the studio with us today. That was amazing. Thank you so much. We are here in the studio with Elephant Stone, all the way from Montreal. Thank you guys so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
That was so sick. So we had an exploration of their whole discography really there. That last one you heard was a medley from Hollow, their 2020 release. That included Darker Time, Darker Space, The Court and the Jury, Land of the Dead. We had Sally Go Round for the Sun from their self-titled from 2013, Child of Nature from Three Poisons from 2014, and we kicked off the set with a track from their latest album, Back Into the Dream, the Imaginary, Nameless, Everybody in the World. Thank you so much. That was just, we went so many places. I loved it. I want to talk about the latest album, Back Into the Dream, because I really loved it. And what like a great evocative title for what your sound is. You know, it's so ethereal, so like shape-shifty, kind of like the way dreams are. I heard that you got that title, you kind of used it as a tribute to a friend of yours.
Yeah, Paul Gleason. He was someone I met through the band back at Three Poisons. He's from Chicago, near Chicago, and he just became a big fan and kept in touch. And he had a wife and kids, and lovely guy. And he had a heart condition, and so he passed away. So
yeah, what a beautiful tribute to him. And did you carry that? So you had the title before you had really the record. Did you carry that?
No, I was because he wrote this review of Three Poisons, and it was like, actually we were talking about Revolver because we're both music nerds. So I was talking about we're talking about the Beatles. Maybe I was talking about A Day in the Life, and I said, oh yeah, then the John's part, then you fall back into the dream, and then he made that the title of the interview. And I was looking for a title for the album, and I had Lost in a Dream. And then I just saw that. I'm like, well, that's perfect. And it's a tribute to Paul. He passed away a few years ago. He was like writing, oddly enough, he was writing my biography. He became very obsessed with the band. I guess we meant something to him, which is beautiful. And we nurtured that. And
that's gorgeous. That's lovely. Well, I'm sure he loves the album just as much as everything else that you've done. Tell me about making the album, like, what kind of major themes were coming up as you were writing things? Was there anything you really wanted to communicate with this particular album?
So I guess this album was kind of in some ways written during COVID. So like every day I'd wake up and I'd be like, is it over? Like, no. It's like you just felt like you were in a dream. And so in some ways it's kind of, you want to escape the world and just fall back into your dream, or you just can never wake up from it. And that's kind of what it is. And that's what my experience was in COVID. So just every day, I mean, dreams can be bad and good. So it's a mix of both.
Yeah. So I know you, some of the songs that you recorded had to get cut, and you're kind of releasing them as an add-on called Back in the Garage, which I love. That's such like a great way to show the difference between the two things. What was that process of like trying to figure out what makes the cut for the album? What was it? Did you have to make any heartbreaking decisions?
Well, yeah, it's like when I write songs, because my home studio is in my garage, so everything's demoed in there and recorded in there. And I play for my wife, and we listen to it. And just those three songs, I didn't see how we could take it with the band, because I take my demos, then I bring it to these guys, and then we make it into something else. So with that, I think it all started with my buddy Mike at Little Cloud Records. He releases all my records on vinyl, and I think I played it for Mike, and Mike's like, this is amazing. He's like, why wasn't this on the album? I was like, I don't know. So then he's like, let's put out a 7-inch. Let's pick the three songs. And then I was like, well, let's throw in the demos I did too, just to see the creative process, because it shows just what Elephant Stone is, just me, and then what it is with these guys. And it's a huge step from where I start. So
both very cool parts of the journey. And I love getting, that peek inside how you're creating things. So when you're creating music, do you ever think about like how people are consuming it, and if there's like an ideal state of mind to be listening to Elephant Stone, an ideal setting to be consuming it in?
I mean, taking a few gummies and then listening to us all is always a good thing. I mean, it's funny because like marijuana in some ways, it blocks like a receptor in your brain. I just found out that actually stops you from anticipating the future. So that's why music is always so amazing when you're elevated in that way. So Not that I'm condoning it. Well, maybe I'm condoning it.
This is a psychedelic
Yeah,
show.
it's a psychedelic show. So yeah, there you go. Just take a couple of gummies and listen to Elephant Stone.
Yeah, that idea of kind of blocking out the future, really living in the present, right? Just like
Very much so.
actively
Everything is beautiful and
experiencing.
surprising and wonderful.
And you provide such a canvas to experience in the present. You have so many sounds happening. I love like the depth of sound that you guys provide. And one of those sounds, of course, I think your signature, the sitar. The sitar's been around in psychedelic music for a long time. What interested you first? Were you into psychedelic music and then that drove you to learn the sitar, or were you already learning the sitar and through that found psychedelic music?
I grew up on Bollywood music. My parents, we'd watch Bollywood films every Saturday. So Indian music was always my obsession with, and the Beatles. So all through childhood. And then on a trip to India with my family when I was 19, I bought my first sitar. And so it was like Robbie and I used to be in a band called the Hideouts together. I think we did KEXP 20 years ago or something like that. Ages me. But yeah, it's just, so like I wasn't the Hideouts, I wasn't a songwriter, but I played sitar. I left the band. I was going to start this out as a sitar project, like instrumental, like Ananda Shankar kind of thing. But then I also love Teenage Fan Club. So that's kind of where this band sits in some ways.
I love that. How do you balance kind of that influence? I think you have a lot of that 60s vibes going on in your music, but I think you balance it so well without like being referential, without being like sounding like you're just writing covers of 60s songs. How do you think about that, about balancing those sounds that you love with the like keeping things modern and fresh?
Well, I guess it's just my personal taste and aesthetic. Like, I listen to so much music. Like, I love Lana Del Rey. I love Charlie XCX, but I love the Beach Boys. So it's all like kind of gets filtered through. Like, my wife and I, every Friday we listen to music in my studio, and it's always, I find the modern music sounds way better than the old stuff in my studio because it has that extended low end. So like you put on like Rihanna or something like Anti, and it just blows your mind. So I think I'm always excited by new music. So it always kind of, but I grew up on the Beatles and the Who. So.
Yeah. Speaking of music that we love, so one question that I like to ask everyone. First, do you all believe in extraterrestrial life?
Yes, of course. We're not the only thing in the universe.
And so if extraterrestrials made contact with you and we're asking you to like compile a playlist of music to help them understand like what humanity's like, what kind of stuff they're capable of doing, what would you all put on those playlists?
You'd have to make a medley of songs. But honestly, I had an answer, and it's my favorite song in the world. It's my desert song, but I'll just keep that for me because everybody has theirs. But Ravel's Bolero. It's
really
long and incredible. Yeah, I don't know. It just came to me. I love that song.
This is a safe space.
Because it has 3 chords and modulate.
That's honestly, I think, one of the most psychedelic pieces of concert music ever.
That's good.
Yeah.
The guy was losing his mind when he wrote it. Mm-hmm. And
just kidding.
I think it's a beautiful thing to show somebody that there's a lot of beauty on earth.
I would say Magic by Pilot because you can always listen to it.
Continuing with the spirit of positivity and magic, I would choose Yes We Can by Lee Dorsey.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And I honestly have no idea. Like, do we want to tell them we're beautiful species or that we're doomed? You know, like, are they good aliens or bad aliens?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, are we trying to convince them not to murder us all, or are they, or to save us?
Yeah.
I mean, what would you put in either case?
I guess good vibrations, because it's like, it's a great song, and if they're going to kill us, we're playing that song. That's kind of a crazy soundtrack.
I feel like they will really vibe with the theremin too. So cool. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. It was really such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
This has been live on KEXP with Elephant Stone. I'm DJ Jewel. I host Astral Plane. If you love groovy music like this, make sure you tune into Astral Plane on Wednesday nights. And if you want to find videos like this as soon as they come out, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, bye-bye.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.